Started intro. Hey, this is the Angry DM. Welcome back to Angry Plays Metroid Prime. This is part 3. And that was the wrong thing to press. So, let's just jump in. And hello to everybody who's already been here chatting without me. Mad Adventurer, Darabim is here, I think, for the first time. And Elf IRL, also, I think, here for the first time. And Domestics, O-Dog, thanks for hanging out again. I have secured my wrist strap. I am not punching anybody in the head or knocking over any lamps. And getting ready to continue my exploration of Talon 4. I guess I can skip the intro. We've done this before. So, picking up where we left... I don't know why it needs to tell me that the nunchuck is required. I've already got it plugged in. So, picking up where we left off, we have been chasing Ridley across the planet Talon 4, attempting to locate him. There was a space pirate frigate, a space pirate biological research vessel that had been destroyed after biological research experiments, as is standard for biological research. And Ridley escaped and took refuge on the planet Talon 4, and we've been tracking him ever since. We had been exploring the Chozo ruins, long extinct race of bird people. Actually, I shouldn't say long extinct. Race of bird people who are responsible, depending on what you accept of the canon, for training Samus and providing her power suit. Talon 4 was their sanctuary until a meteor hit. And some sort of poison destroyed the ecosystem here. And when we finished last time, we had just picked up the space jump boots, which now allow us to do a double jump. And that allows us to continue our explorations of Phendrana Drifts. And we're going to begin by heading in this direction. And screwing up the... It always takes me a little bit of time to get used to the double jump. You can actually activate it just about any time in midair. So, am I caught on the geometry there? So you can activate the space jump at any point in your jump. So, you know, you can use at the top of your jump, you can use it to gain height. If you use it at the very bottom of your jump, you can use it to gain a lot more distance. And now we're going to explore some of the Chozo ruins here, because it appears that the Chozo... That's changing beams. Because it appears the Chozo have colonized every part of this planet. Hey, the Barrel Maker. No, I'm not seeing any stream issues. So Cordite is one of those materials, as I mentioned a few times, the game uses these fictional materials as cues as to what items to get through the problems with. And we also know these ice walls are defeated with the charge beam or a missile. And of course they put one of those bamboos in front, which we know is drawn by the charge beam. So it'll charge you if you start charging your weapon. And we're going to encounter a lot of these right now. And also the pulse bamboos, which we just sort of take the hit from because I'm not good at dodging them. And there's a reason why we're going to be encountering a lot of these, or why we hit that hallway full of them. Oh, I've already scanned a lot of it. Whoops. Ah. Okay, so the hints... Whoops. Got myself frozen. So the hint system... as I've noted a few times, the hint system jumps in whenever it looks like you're not making progress fast enough in the game. But also after you reload the game, it tends to come in pretty quickly to help you remember... you know, what you were up to and where you're going. I think we also have a new creature here, these ice parasites. Which are basically parasites again, but this is the palette swap for the ice area. And actually, I really have to give them credit because there's a lot of neat little just biological details in all the scan data. It's actually a little bit interesting to read. Or at least it would be if I hadn't read it so many times. And we're just going to make our way up to the top of this area. Which the hint system kind of pointed us in this direction. And also having the space jump, which was the last power-up we picked up, let us access this area. So again, the game is using the environmental cues to tell you where to go next. You know, had you been... Since we were exploring Phendrana Drifts, we probably encountered this area, discovered we couldn't jump over to it. And then when we got the space jump, it was the area freshest in our mind to go back to. And now we reach the top of this area and find a Chozo shrine. And these statues here. A Chozo philosopher. A flawless Chozo philosopher. Okay, we don't have anything yet that can melt the ice, but we will eventually discover something. Yeah, Domestics is pointing out that he hates FPS platforming, and I kind of agree, but I do have to say that the original GameCube controls for this game were really tight, and so it wasn't as bad as some. I've actually been playing... So I have a little bit of a confession to make. Oh, by the way, there's a little bit of a puzzle here. Trying to open the gate, it says I have to find the Chozo Shaman. And one of these statues is actually the Chozo Shaman. And, oh, stress fractures and brimstone, which means it's affected by bombs. Nope, I meant missiles. I meant missiles. And then behind it is a standard bomb slot. You know, which most of your religious shrines and temples are equipped with. So, but anyway, so confession is, I had never actually played through Half-Life. I only very briefly played a little bit of it. Hadn't played it too extensively, so I finally decided to just get Half-Life Source. And I started playing through that earlier this week, and you know what? I can totally understand from a gaming history perspective what that game did and why it was revolutionary. But at the same time, there are parts of that game that are just awful. I'm in the train tunnels now. Which is just a slog. Oh, it is so dull. Mad Adventure saying, if you can't get out of the church, blow up a statue. And now, of course, we have a big, wide open space and a power-up on the other side. You know, clearly nothing is going to go wrong here in this room. So let's not think about the fact that those baby She-Goths were basically imprisoned in the walls of this temple for hundreds of years. Or at least dozens of years. I don't know. The time frame on this game is really hard to kind of tease out. So what happens here is obviously the two Sheegoths, the baby Sheegoths, emerge from their little cells, and as you kill one off, another one is released into the room, so that ultimately you fight a total of 4 of them, but never more than 2 at a time. And again, only their backs are vulnerable, so you end up doing a lot of circle strafing and side dashing. Whoops, I kind of missed. Ow! Forgot about your little ram move there. I mean, the sad thing is, so they're basically locked up in those little square rooms, and like, there's not even any food or anything in there. Like, the Chozo lived in concert with nature, but apparently not when they decided to incorporate biological beings into their traps. And now, of course, comes the real boss. This is the adult Sheegoth, the mommy Sheegoth. Even though it's a boss, this is not a missable scan, because you will encounter... I think you'll encounter another one of these. Maybe I'm wrong. I might be lying. Obviously, with all the bosses, if you're going for 100% scan, you want to go ahead and scan every boss when you fight it. And when I get to it, I'm going to tell the story of one of the reasons why I've never actually pulled off 100% scans. So as the scan data explained, the creature absorbs beam weapons using the crystals on its back, so if we keep firing away at it, you know, we're not actually doing any harm to it. The trick is, or one of the tricks is, after it fires off a volley of those ice crystals, it hyperventilates there for a second. It breathes heavily, and then you can fire a missile into its face. Like most creatures, it has the standard weakness of losing all of its power if you launch missiles down its throat enough times. Very common biological weakness. Fun fact, the African bull elephant, same weakness. If you fire a bunch of concussive missiles down its throat, it will lose all of its powers. But if you get bored with playing this waiting game and waiting for it to hyperventilate, whoops, or you hit the wrong button and don't fire off a missile, there's actually an easier way to do this that is also implied in the scan data. It has a very soft underbelly, and so if you roll up to it, you can place bombs under it, and the bombs will damage it. Unfortunately, any contact with it in ball form will cause damage. But it takes a lot of damage from the bombs. So this is a really quick and easy way to cheese it. I'm not going to say cheese it. Obviously, it's your reward for reading the scan data. Okay, and now I really got to make sure that was Ultra Energy. I got to really make sure I scan some Ultra Energy at some point, because it is a required scan. I haven't been paying attention to scanning all the pickups. There's actually a couple of different missile pickups too, but it's hard to tell the difference between them. And you have to scan at least, you have to scan each one at least once. So I think there's a 5 missile pickup and a 10 missile pickup. Alright, so anyway, now we get our first beam upgrade. Samus. Darabim is called it Samus, Annihilator of Ecosystems. I I've made several jokes about it at this point, but if you go back through the Metroid history, Samus is actually pretty much the most destructive force in the universe. So now we get the Wave Beam. The Wave Beam fires these electrical bolts that kind of undulate. It's nice because it's got a wider, sort of a wider hitbox than the Charge Beam does. It fires a little bit more slowly than the Charge Beam, but the powered-up shots also track. Which, when you were playing the GameCube version, honestly, the Wave Beam wasn't really too much of an improvement over the Charge Beam. But if you're playing this version with free aim, the tracking becomes really valuable. I don't know if you saw how that beam whipped around. So it kind of tracks your target. Also, the wider hitbox means that the targeting is a little bit more forgiving. You'll also notice that it can actually take out those bamboos. And now, for whatever reason, this room is full of bamboos. Not full of, but there's a bunch of them. And of course, the actual reason is so that you immediately, in experimenting with the charge or the wave beam, discover that they are affected by the wave beam. The standard Metroid approach of forcing you to discover what an item can do by immediately making you do that thing, which is a really great way of, you know, basically it's a better way of teaching you how to use your items than just throwing up text boxes. So, and now with the wave beam, I can open the purple doors. I'm going to go just quickly to the save point. Because unfortunately, without save states, if I actually do manage to get myself killed, then I don't want to have to replay a bunch for the stream. You know what? I don't need to bother with you. I did... Oh, geez. I can't do that. I blew off its back. And now you know it's just going to die anyway. Some predator's going to kill it. So it's the merciful thing to do is to finish it off. Samus is a humanitarian... what the hell is it? A naturalist in much the same way that Roosevelt was a naturalist. O-Dog is commenting on how you shoot at the doors to open them, which has always been kind of a ridiculously funny thing. I mean, in the original Metroid, it was more of a mechanical thing than anything else. Basically, oh, I forgot where I was going. Right, we're gonna, now that we have the wave beam, we're going to head back to some purple doors that we found in our explorations. And we're going to keep hanging out in Phendrana for a while here. So, eventually, like, the game started trying to give these explanations for some of the ridiculousness of the actual game world. So one of the explanations given for why doors need to be shot to open them is it's not the door itself. The doors are actually protected by a small force field that prevents parasites and normal animals from tripping the motion sensor that opens the door. So supposedly the doors themselves are motion sensitive. You know, they just open up. It's just there's this force field around it that prevents, you know, just normal creatures from bumping up against it and opening, like these she-goths. Which, of course, then doesn't explain how the she-goths keep getting back into this room no matter how many times I kill them. But whatevs, right? I actually think that I don't have to cut through here. I probably could have taken a quick shortcut with the space jump, but whatever. As noted, I'm trying to do this all by memory, and I'm trying to 100% it. But, you know, that's also, like, Like, part of the explanation for all the tunnels that you can go through, you know, all the morph ball-sized tunnels on planet Zebes and on planet Talon 4 are because the Chozo could supposedly also roll up into balls. So, you know, that was okay. Just kind of like how, you know, I can crawl around, so obviously I have all these 3-foot corridors in my house because I can crawl on hands and knees, so obviously that's how I'm going to traverse my house. Honestly, the morph ball was a result of technical limitations anyway. In the original Metroid for the NES, they wanted to just have Samus crawl on her hands and knees, and they couldn't get the animations right. So ultimately, they decided to just go with the giving her the power up that lets her roll up into a ball. Well, and now, this is one of the bigger dick moves in the game if you're going for 100% completion. So, these guys up here are ice shriek bats. Okay? Obviously, if you're going for 100% of the creatures scanned, you need to scan them. But you only have they only appear in this room. And they only appear at certain stages of the game in this room. Like, we've already talked about how the different rooms, they change, the creature loadout changes in the rooms as you progress through the game to give the illusion of a dynamic world that's evolving around you. And the Ice Shriek Bats, shortly after this point, will disappear from this room forever. So if you don't catch them on this pass through, you'll probably never get them. And they are one of the reasons why I had never gotten 100% scans before. Oh, geez, I didn't finish you off. Sorry. There we go. Take the humane thing. And now there is a purple door up there that I can open with the wave beam. But have to kind of go around to get up to it. And I couldn't even get up to it before because it requires the space jump. Except that I went into the wrong place. No, I didn't. Who the hell knows? Oh, I already scanned that lore. You know, so the whole... That's the spot, by the way, where you need the space jump for. You just don't have enough height to clear that. To clear that jump. So, the lore of this game, one of the things... Alright, I'm gonna rant a bit about the evolving story of Samus Aran and of the Metroid universe. When the game started... Oh, here's another missable scan if you're trying to do the 100% scan thing. There are a limited number of these stalactites in the game, and you must scan them before you dislodge them. So I think there's like 6 or 7 total, and if you don't scan one of them before you shoot it down, you won't have 100% in your logbook. And now this allows us to climb up here and continue traveling through the ice ruins. So anyway, the ongoing story of Samus Aran and the Metroid franchise as a whole, and I want to talk about it only because it illustrates something that I find extremely annoying in sort of a lot of modern fiction. A lot of current... You know, obviously it's all modern fiction, but a lot of current fiction. And it's sort of a shift in the way we build heroes in stories. See, in the original Metroid, Samus was just a bounty hunter. She had a power suit. She was an awesome bounty hunter. She was hired... Damn it, I fell. I gotta go all the way back around. Okay. She was hired to take out the space pirates. She went to the planet Zebes, took out the space pirates, took out the Metroids, took out their evil leader Mother Brain. Done and done. And took out Ridley and Kraid. And Ridley and Kraid were just mini-bosses. Nothing more than that. You know, and that was kind of the story of Samus. And it all started to sort of go downhill um, as they started adding more story. And so they started to talk about this connection that Samus had to the Chozo, which the Chozo were just sort of a mysterious. It was never really explained in the first game what the Chozo were. I think they were mentioned by name only in the manual, and basically they were just seen in the form of statues on planet Zebes that were holding power-ups for Samus. So Samus was recovering these these various power-ups from these statues, and that was all that there was to it. Have I scanned a spinner slot yet? Okay, I think, yeah, okay. So here we have another standard spinner. I like that it refers to it as a standard spinner. Like, yeah, this is just a way you do things. You curl up into a ball, you spin really fast. But the thing is that Samus was just a bounty hunter. She was just a person who did a job. She was kind of a John McClane in that way, you know. Just a cop, sort of in over his head and, forced by circumstances to rise to the challenge and eventually, really overcome overwhelming odds. So, in a sense, not quite an everyman, but in a sense, that kind of a thing. And that was cool, and that was all that was needed. But then as time went on, they started to talk about Samus's connection to the Chozo, that she had been raised by the Chozo. Well, what really happened was there was a manga that came out, and the manga kind of backfilled the story of Samus. And so Samus was a kid on this planet, K2L. The planet was invaded by space pirates. Her parents sacrificed their lives to save Samus from Ridley. So Samus, now instead of Ridley just being a badass space pirate that Samus ran into time and again, now he was this, he was like her arch nemesis, and it was all about getting revenge for what he did to her in her childhood. And by the way, before I go any further, there's just a secret energy tank in this wall that we're going to pick up. So there was that story. Now suddenly she's got this connection with Ridley. And then after she's orphaned during the invasion of K2L by the space pirates, then the Chozo find her on K2L and take her back to the planet Zebes, which is the planet in the original game. They give her power suit. They raise her as one of their own. They train her to be like the warrior because they have decided that she is the chosen one. Then the space pirates invade Zebes. Oh, wait. There's more, because it turns out that the Chozo had actually manufactured the Metroids to combat the X-parasites that are brought up in Fusion. So they manufacture the Metroids. The Chozo also built Mother Brain. And then when the space pirates get to Zebes and invade Zebes and steal the Metroids, they also Mother Brain turns against the Chozo and joins the space pirates. The Chozo are driven from Zebes. Samus escapes from Zebes and then comes back to eventually visit her revenge. So now this all becomes a revenge plot. Then in this story, as you keep reading all of the Chozo lore, you start to discover that the Chozo had this, they had precognition. They knew Samus, who they refer to as the hatchling or the newborn or something. They knew Samus was eventually going to save all of galactic civilization, and so they have been leaving all the power-ups around. And it just... Whoops. I don't know what just happened there. I just freaked out and forgot how to operate the controller. Oh, okay. Meanwhile, in this game, I'm not going to get a good scan on you. I got pinned up against the wall and now I can't scan you. Alright. So long story short, or to make a long story slightly shorter, is that basically the story changed from just Samus, a cop with a job to do, who did her job really well, and that was it, to she is the chosen one and she has ties to everything in the lore. And I'm going to drop this topic for a second because you might have noticed, so I'll talk about the current game now, that I have transitioned both in music and in the environmental design into a new area, and of course I just got attacked by a space pirate also. So I'm actually coming into a new sort of sub-environment in Phendrana. And I might recognize this machinery as similar to the machinery that I had already seen down in Magmore. And now I'm setting off an alarm. And the musical cue tells me that I am now fighting the space pirates. And I want to make sure that I get a scan off the space pirates. I probably should have gone through that a little slowly so you could read it, but... And I've... You know, one of the biggest problems with the whole trying to go for the 100% scans is just that, like, you end up, like, standing... You end up doing basically the Riker maneuver of standing around and taking a bunch of hits while you're trying to figure out what the hell to do with yourself. Which, I can't remember who coined it, but the Riker maneuver is a term referring to Star Trek The Next Generation, and how every battle that the Enterprise ever got into came down to the Enterprise would take like a dozen hits until the shields were down to 40%, and then the Enterprise would return fire and win. So here we have a map station. And I think I mentioned that map stations are... Whoops. Actually, I scanned the thing behind it. And rather than read every scan here, I'm just going to backfill the story for you. Because this area gets absolutely ludicrous with the scans. Okay, so the map station now fills in this area of the base, which is... Or this area of Phendrana, which is actually the Space Pirate Research Facility. So, it's not just that Ridley fled here to escape the destruction of the space frigate. It turns out that the pirates have an active base here. That they have been conducting research at. And the strange substance that they were experimenting on... Oh, there's a missile launcher. Phazon. Starts getting mentioned several more times here, implying that this planet may be the source of the Phazon. Which, all we know about it right now is it mutates space monsters into more differenter space monsters. Yeah, okay. I thought I was missing a missile shield, but... Darabim says, nice security these pirates have. When you kill us, all the doors unlock. Yeah, it's... They heard the term Dead Man Switch, but they didn't quite know how to implement it. So this is Research Lab Hydra. It is one of the 2 research labs here in the Phendrana Drifts. And actually, using your scan visor to overcome the... to shut down their security... if you diligently read all of the scan information here, there are a couple of scans that talk about how Samus has been breaking their encryption and getting into their computer systems. And actually, like, I'm just gonna... Okay, so there's nothing actively hostile on me. So this is where the whole scanning thing gets a little bit ludicrous, because just as I sweep my cursor around here, you can see we've got, 5 scan points over there, and there's a couple more, and then there's like 5 or 6 over there, and a bunch over here, and there's 4 or 5 rooms like this, which is why I stopped stop reading the scan data other than the vital scan data. Which is a shame because the scan data is actually kind of interesting. And a lot of the stuff... Yeah, I knew the Hail Hydra jokes were coming. The chat immediately went into the Hail Hydra crap. So... way to go for the comedic low-hanging fruit, guys. Oh, I didn't mention it too. One of the other things about the wave beam is that fully charged up, it has a stunning effect. So you notice that if I hit the space pirate with a fully charged... Whoops. Kind of walked off the edge there, didn't I? And the pirate followed me? I lost... Whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Get out of my face. There we go. So it's got sort of a stunning effect on the space pirates when you hit them with a fully charged up blast. They get paralyzed for a minute. The wave beam also affects the gun turrets. If you hit them with enough shots of it, the turrets bug out. But it actually creates a really excellent combo to use against the space pirates of launching one charged up wave beam blast and then one missile. The low-hanging fruit is the heaviest and thus the most fulfilling to eat, says Derabim. Oh, Dog, I thought we agreed that we were never going to talk about the day that I said you were funnier than me, because it is patently not true. Alright, so now having cleared out the enemies, we're going to make sure that we get the required scans in here. Unfortunately, the required scans are called out with these red callouts. And these are the ones that actually get added to your logbook. And these are the ones that sort of actually spell out the entire story. So here we go. The space pirates are exposing basically every creature they can find to Phazon. And everything they expose Phazon to becomes more dangerous and deadly. So they just keep feeding it to everything. Unfortunately, I like that. So after 4 generations of Phazon infusion, everything goes extinct. So they're trying to find a way around that problem. Yeah, here we go. This is all just details about the Phazon. Unfortunately, at the end of the day, as neat as it is to have these data logs that sort of tell the story of what the space pirates are up to, the thing is, they're not actually up to that much. You know, in the end, they came to Talon 4. They discovered this element called Phazon. They discovered that it's a really powerful mutagen. So they started feeding it to everything they could find. And trying to make dangerous creatures and then use those dangerous creatures. And there's also a lot of, like, mustache-twirling villainy in their text logs. A lot of it is, well, you know, we kept feeding this Phazon to these creatures, and it just made things worse, but we kept trying it anyway. We'll try with another batch and see if we can't make things better this time. Why did the elevator shut down? Okay. There's also a lot of little, again, sort of the cartoon villainy logs in the optional data logs. Things like, you know, if you break any of the rules, we're gonna, you're gonna have all your food taken away, and the way they treat their own troops and shit like that. There's also a lot of neat little logs about what Samus is up to. They talk about how she's breaking their encryption, how she's penetrating the labs, and how she's, you know, basically disrupting their operations. Which sort of gives the sense that while Samus is running around, the space pirates are also off-camera trying to counter her and keep their operations running. You know, so again, it's supposed to imply that there's sort of an active story going on here, that the space pirates are an active force in the game, rather than you simply encountering them, you know, basically running through static encounters. Which, of course, is what you're doing. It's just that... Whoops. It's just that the static encounters are designed to change as the game advances, so you don't realize that they're static encounters. They sort of give the impression that you're, Yeah, see, I got the turret to bug out there. I just wanted to show it off. Oh, actually I'm coming into one of the neatest areas in the game. I also love that the space pirates have their own musical cue. Anytime there are space pirates in the room, you get the space pirate theme that is playing now. It's got a nice urgent and sort of alien weirdness to it. A sense of urgency and an alien weirdness that I like. In general, the sound design is really good in this game. You know, given the technical limitations of the GameCube, which it originally was on. So this is actually a neat area. This is the Space Pirate Observatory. I think that's the name of it if we check the map. But in order to reach the top of this room, you have to basically, whoops. I lost my grip on my controller there. You have to activate this. Okay, I'm going to remember to scan. Oh, that's just large energy. Okay. You have to activate this holographic projector, because the machinery then forms steps that you can climb up. Okay, so the first step is we're sending power to the holographic projector. And now the other bomb slot. Now, again, I like to try and imagine, you know, just what is it that the space pirates have to do, because they can't curl up into a ball. So that means that space pirate technicians are carrying around like these giant metal bowling balls to interface with their equipment. But again, Metroid has never apologized for being a game first. Also, the startup sequence is pretty ridiculous when you get down to it. You know, I mean, they have these computers that are connected to it. All of this could be accomplished just by the computers, but no, you've got to activate 2 different bomb slots and 3 spinners to get everything into position. It's the best they could come up with. They're really good at biological research, but you know, their knowledge of electronics is really pretty limited. But see, now the upper emitter has an item on it, and it, by making it come down into position, I can now get up on top of it. But I also get this neat little holographic observatory thing. And I love this part, because you can scan the planets here and get facts about them. And this is Talon 4, the planet that I'm on now. And this is one of the required entries. The other one, the color on my screen is a little bit off, so it's kind of hard for me to tell the red ones from the orange ones. I think that's just affecting my capture card. But this is Planet Zebes, which was the game in Metroid and Super Metroid that was ultimately blown up by Samus. The other ones are not required. But what that tells us is that Talon 4 shares the same star system as Zebes. More interestingly, what that tells us is that Talon 4 is a really stupid name because the other planets in this system are called Twin Tabula, Zebes, and something else. I don't know. I wasn't paying attention. But, you know, like, pick a naming system, okay? I like the sci-fi convention of, you know, you name the star something, and then each planet is numbered from the star. So you have the star Talon, so you have Talon 1, Talon 2, Talon 3, Talon 4. That's fine. I also like the naming convention of giving planets just cool-sounding names, like Twin Tabula and Zebes and whatever. That's fine, too. You just can't combine both of them. They don't make sense in the same universe. Moreover, they don't make sense in the same star system. Anyway, I can now jump to that power-up, and we discover that the holographic projector is actually powered by super missiles. Hey, Dithrambos! Oh, and Zero Quest! Hey, did I say hello before when you walked in? Because if not, hello. They try to, like, loosely sort of imply that the pickups... Whoops, that was the wrong thing. That the pickups you get here, in the Space Pirates lair, are all stolen Space Pirate technology. Like, somehow this super missile is connected to their holographic projector somehow. In the end, it's actually really stupid. But the super missile is an upgrade to the missiles, obviously. But it's actually what... a charge combo. So what you do is you charge up your charge beam and then hit the fire missile button. It costs 5 missiles, but it expends up... and still I'm on the wrong thing. But it expends 5 missiles, but gives you a much more powerful missile as a result. Each weapon actually has a charge missile combo like that. So the super missile is just the first one. Eventually we'll be getting a wave beam missile combo, and then other beams. And meanwhile, we're going to continue to explore the Pirates' lab. So now we ride this elevator up to the control panel, or control tower. And what? I keep hitting the visor control when I mean to hit the beam control. Yeah, for some reason the color on my TV is getting really off, though the color on the stream is not. Whoop. So we get some Space Pirates. I thought there were actually different Space Pirates out here, which is why I was getting ready with the super missiles. Oh yeah, okay, here we go. So now we get our first introduction. It's just Bad Adventure saying it's like duct taping a bunch of missiles together and lighting the fuse. So we get our first introduction to the flying Space Pirates, which are Space Pirates with jetpacks. They're actually really cool. They can be tricky to hit, because they're a bit dodgy, so they tend to dodge your attacks. The charge beam is useful against them because it tracks them, so are missiles. And you can see when you take them out, they crash. But best weapon to use against them is the super missile, which takes them out in one shot. As long as you don't mind expending 5 missiles at a time to do it. But if you're diligent about searching for missiles, 5 missiles is not really an issue. Also, there's plenty of crates out here. So you can pretty much refill your supplies once you're done with that. I don't know what the hell they were storing in there. That was one of their super missile power supplies. Because, you know, that's what they use for batteries. Alright, I'm pretty much full. Alright, and now we'll go back down the elevator on the other side. Because that whole area just serves as a bridge between two towers. Yeah, Dith Rambus is pointing out that the naming conventions in our own galaxy of astronomers is all over the place, and yeah, fine, whatever. But I still wanted to have that rant. See, this is the thing. Okay? You can point out reality this and reality that and reality anything. But at the end of the day, fiction is always going to be held up to better or higher standards than reality. Okay? That's just the way it is. Because unlike reality, which everything that happens in reality is sort of accidental. Okay, we make these discoveries accidentally, cities build out haphazardly, nothing is really planned. In a story, the author is in control of everything. And so there's really no excuse for stuff to not make sense, for it not to fit together better. And it stands out to us when you're reading a story or when you're playing in somebody's role-playing game, and there's something there that just kind of stands out as odd. The excuse that, well, reality doesn't make sense isn't going to hold up because we expect fiction to be better. We expect fiction to be held to better standards. The idea that truth is stranger than fiction is absolutely true, but that's why we invented fiction, because truth is a lot harder to make sense of. Meanwhile, here's my first Metroid. And of course, as soon as you scan it, it breaks out. And the Metroids also have their own musical cue. So the Metroids, you know, although they're the creatures that they are the title of, you know, they're basically the titular creatures of the series. The Metroids themselves are actually, you know, they're not really the villains of the series. You know, it's... The thing is that they're just these parasitic animals, really. They suck life energy out of whatever they encounter, turning it to stone. Or just killing it, depending on the incarnation of Metroids. And the only reason they ended up in the story is because the space pirates were trying to use them as biological weapons in the first game. And it was, like, the second game was centered more around the Metroids. In the second game, the Metroids really were the villain, because that was the one where Samus was sent by the Galactic Federation to extinct the Metroids, because it was judged that they were too dangerous to live after the space pirates demonstrated how deadly they could be. And then in Super Metroid, that was of course the one where Samus... And I'm just like breezing through this text because again, I'm gonna just fill in the interesting bits of the story. Because so then in the Super Metroid was the one where Samus brought back one infant Metroid that she couldn't bring herself to kill because it had imprinted on her and it helped her escape from the planet. Oh, so here's a neat thing, by the way. So they've got a Metroid and a tank there, and if I fire a missile at it, I let the Metroid out. And then the Metroid goes after the space pirates. Alright, that's pretty cool. And then, of course, the Metroid will come after me next, so... The Metroids are kind of hardy. I mean, the traditional way to beat them from the first game on was, you know, you freeze them with the ice beam and then launch a missile at them to shatter them. And eventually that evolved itself into the Metroids having this sort of this vulnerability to cold-based weaponry. I think I got all the vital scans up here, by the way. Which then the series actually did a couple of interesting things with the whole vulnerability to cold. Meanwhile, there's a power-up up here. This is a real pain in the ass to get. Okay, because there's no railings here, so you can just easily roll off the edge. But because the camera is rotating as you move, the directions are changing as you move along this catwalk. Fuck. I mean, darn. Sorry. Oh, right. Hey, also there's an energy tank here. Yeah, so anyway, the series was kind of cool with what it did with the whole vulnerability to cold thing. In general, that's another really good example of doing a franchise right. Is, taking... you take the interesting bits of the franchise, whatever they happen to be, or one interesting fact of the franchise, and you keep exploring the consequences in different ways. So, like Metroid Fusion, for example, the whole cold-based thing became a major plot point because Samus was unable to... number one, Samus gained the vulnerability to cold because of the infusion with Metroid DNA. And that was neat in and of itself because basically Samus gained the same weakness that her enemies had. But then at the same time, her enemy, which was, the evil Samus clone SAX, then had Samus's Ice Beam to use against her. So it was kind of this neat tide-turning moment. Metroid Other M did a neat thing with the whole the Galactic Federation was breeding Metroids to use as bioweapons and had bred out their cold vulnerability so that they were basically invincible. Even this one here, like you read these log entries, and there's actually a couple of really neat log entries about the research of the Metroids, and if I knew which ones they were, aside from the other dozens and dozens of log entries, I would scan them. But the Space Pirates have been trying to figure out what the hell is up with Metroids. There's one entry that talks about how the Space Pirates cannot figure out what it is that Metroids actually drain from living things. They know that a Metroid latches onto something and that it drains something, and then the thing dies, but they don't know what it's actually draining. It doesn't seem to be taking vital fluids, and they keep feeding people to the Metroids, hoping that they can figure out what the Metroids are taking, but so far all they can say is that basically it's life essence, whatever that means. And the Space Pirates are kind of very unsatisfied with that answer. The Space Pirates also do not believe in good lighting. Whoops. Whoa. And here we get to their research core. Oh, another thing that some of the scans have sort of indicate is that the Space Pirates have been using the natural low temperatures here on Phendrana to keep the Metroids docile. So that's why they're storing them here. That's why they built their research center in this cold area, so that they could keep Metroids and other things in cold storage. And if the Metroids escape, they're kind of sluggish and weak because of the low temperatures. Again, it's all those little details that kind of imply a world that is well put together. Just like all the little sciencey bits. When you scan a creature. Oh, meanwhile, here in this... Basically, there's a device in the center of this, and I'm trying to power it down by finding 3 switches. Jerubim says it's a good thing that the space pirate suicide bombing doesn't ruin their computers when the space pirates like dive bomb me. Yeah, that would be really awkward, especially with some of the computers that have the switches that I need to proceed. Though we all know what happens if you shoot an electronic device that is locking something. If you're inside, it unlocks it, and if you're outside, it locks it. Like, I love the one scene in Star Wars where Luke shoots the control panel, or, yeah, was it Luke who shoots the control panel to lock the door? Or unlock the door, or whatever it is, and it's a good thing it worked that way instead of the other way. Before I go any further, just call attention to, there is a white door here that I cannot open yet. We don't know what opens white doors. And there's also a power-up here. And the power-up in this case is my first visor upgrade. The thermal visor. And it's a good thing that I picked that up because it turns out that the thermal visor was actually powering this entire room, including the lights. And the force fields that keep the Metroids in. So now I have to kind of switch to Predator mode so that I can see what's going on. I don't know what the hell that space pirate was doing. He was just flipping out. So fortunately, the floors have that sort of heated... Those sort of heated, lit-up tiles so that I can easily see the floors. It's a good thing this room and this room alone used heated floors. But I'm also going to show you, because as time goes on, they do a lot of really cool things with even the visor effects. Like, one of the first things I wanted to do as soon as I got the thermal visor was I wanted to see if Magmore caverns, particularly the red hot areas that are so hot they damage you, if those areas showed up differently on the thermal visor. And I will show it off when we pass through there, but they absolutely do. And then Samus's different weapons also show up differently. Though there are 2 temperature-based weapons, and I haven't picked up either one of them yet. Yeah, Domestic's saying heated floors are really nice for the bathroom tiles. Yeah, well, you know, even for the research lab tiles, like, it's really bad, especially in the Arctic area, if you have to... You're working late at night on an experiment, and then you have to run to the bathroom quick. You know, you're cramming Phazon down the gullet of some indigenous creature. And then... I fell like 4 floors, didn't I? At least I can buy why Samus doesn't take falling damage, because she's got the whole... You know, she's got the thruster on her back, and, you know, the power suit, and basically an exoskeleton, so... Though, as we learned from Portal, all you really have to do is strap a pair of springs on people, and then they can fall as far as they want, and not somehow drive their ankles up into their ribcage. Okay, so now, we noticed that glowing hotspot, but I'm going to scan the door first, because the door kind of tells us what the deal is with these hotspots. So there are these power conduits hidden in the walls in some places. And the power conduits have to be energized with electricity. Fortunately, the wave beam generates electricity. So this becomes sort of a puzzle solution. And now I'm still in the dark. It's going to keep me in the dark for a little while. And I have to fight these sentry drones. which are vulnerable to electrical attacks and have jets and guns that put out a lot of heat. So conveniently, I am equipped with everything I need to deal with these things. It's a good thing they didn't show up 10 minutes ago when I didn't have a thermal visor, or an hour ago when I didn't have a wave beam. And again, you know, they are linked to the... Oh, I also like this. So the little... Like the... You didn't notice it when you went through in the light, but the space pirates littered the different areas with glow sticks. And they give off heat as well as light. You know, just a faint little glow. Alright, you guys can play with Metroids. How about that? Oh, shit. So if a Metroid grabs onto you, the only way to get it off is to curl up into a ball and then drop some bombs. And it will gradually suck you dry of energy. I don't know why everything decided to just target me. Well, this went downhill fast. Maybe I should have just left the Metroids in their cages. Every time I try to turn on... I stay still long enough to turn on my, my thermal visor, and then the Metroid grabs me. See? Oh, this has just become a nightmare. Don't! Oh, come on! Screw you! And I'm pretty sure the bombs don't actually kill the Metroids. They don't damage them. Or they don't damage them enough. Or maybe they do. No? Where the hell did you go? This is... Okay, I shouldn't have let the Metroids out. Alright, mistakes were made, that's all I'm saying. There's also a turret going on. I can't find an exit. I have completely lost control of this situation. Okay, wait, I got one of the Metroids. The other one is out there somewhere. Where are you? One thing I don't understand, though, is why it disables your radar when you're in thermal visor mode. I also gotta say, I do not understand why the gun turrets don't give off any heat. I would think they would, but whatevs. Oh! Hanging on the ceiling, were we? Friggin' ninja pirate. Alright, I took a lot of damage down there on the bottom floor. That was not good. There's a gun turret up there. And unfortunately, the game does the standard Zelda trick of locking you in. So, you have to kill all the enemies. One thing that actually throws me off a little bit, too, is that I can't see enemies around corners, but I can see doors through the walls. Which means those doors are cranking out a hell of a lot of heat. You know, far from just not being opened by local parasites, it's amazing they don't vaporize local parasites. Something blunders into it and bursts into flames. Alright, let's just do this with the power missiles, or super missiles, and be done with it. I think I got two of them at once with that one explosion. Yeah, I didn't feel like fucking around. Whoops. Sonic Gamer 3 says I didn't know you could kill them like that. I'm not sure which thing that you're referring to. I was a little bit distracted, not paying attention to the stream. Alright, I'm back in the observatory now, but before I go down there, I'm just gonna hit the save point. Trying to figure out, Sonic Gamer 3 said he didn't know you could kill them like that, but we're not, because of the stream desync, I'm not quite sure what he was referring to. And I'm actually looking to see how far off the stream is, and wow, it is really off tonight. Where are you guys? There you are. Ow. I keep actually trying to use the wave beam's charge up effect. Which I don't have yet. All of the lights for the entire base, because I'm still in the dark, right? Yeah, I'm still in the dark. All of the lights for the entire base were powered by this thermal visor. Oh, jeez. It was quite an explosion. Heard the telltale sign of a turret deploying. The telltale sound of a turret deploying. You know what, Metroid? You get to stay in your tank. 'Cause your buddies were dicks to me. I was gonna let them out and feast on the space pirates, and they killed me. So, screw you. I'll handle this. And just make sure that I don't launch a stray missile into it. And Space Pirate was having a little pathfinding trouble. We're now working our way back out of the Space Pirate base. We got what we came for. Basically the Predator vision. Death from above! Whoops. I just want to make sure I don't miss it. There was... In one of these rooms, there was a tank that was made out of cordite, and now that I have the super missile, I can actually destroy it. I was glancing at the chat. Every time Samus does something weird, like blundering into a wall or suddenly just looking up at the ceiling or whatever, it's because I'm glancing over at the chat and forgetting that whenever I move my controller, it actually affects the game. Okay, I think I did miss that missile tank. they're having trouble finding me. They just don't know what... I kind of thought that they had night vision, but I'm not convinced that they do. Maybe they don't have it good. Oh, I didn't hit the turret. I hit the... There's a space pirate on the ceiling over there. Damn it! Stop it! Yeah, I think I missed a missile power-up. I also think I'm back in the light, honestly. Yeah, I am here. Ah, I hate to do this, but I gotta head back a room. Oh, damn it, I went too far away and everything respawned. I can't... It's a lot harder to tell which rooms I'm in now. I think it's this room, though. Okay, that beam just, like, passed right through it. Damn it. Space pirates are just drama queens. When they die, they launch themselves back dramatically. Yeah, okay, right. Don't read the chat while we're fighting space pirates. Not that I care, space pirates, nothings. Yeah, there it is. See, it was this tank right here is made out of cordite. Which cordite is vulnerable to the super missile. And the biological specimen that they were keeping in here is missile ammunition. Space pirate... I do not understand space pirate science at all. They do science. They are very scientifically minded. They study everything. It's just that it's science that is, like, in all caps with an exclamation point at the end. I think I have just enough time to kind of round out this night with the boss fight here. Because that's... You guys had to come back to life, didn't you? I'm not actually locking on to them, am I? No, I'm not. Get back! Personal space! Personal space! It's a good thing that Samus's missiles don't do any splash damage to her. Alright, are we done here now? Have I annihilated all of you? Alright, and now I can see in the light again. Or now I'm in the light again. And I should be coming back out to the big plaza. Okay. So now, I have set the Space Pirates' plans back by stealing the... The Mad Adventurer is asking about the HUD. The chat's probably going to answer this by the time I say it, but I think you're looking at my missile counter. So that's blank missiles out of 75 that I have right now. Every missile expansion expands that by 5. Yeah, so that's that. Just give me 1 second here. Alright, yeah, let's go for it. What the hell? I wrote out a checklist before I started just to kind of make sure that I didn't miss anything. So now we have another one of these power conduit doors, so this is why I couldn't go in this direction until I had what I needed. And in this case, it gates me with both a super missile. So this ornament is cordite and needs a super missile to take it out. And then on top of that, I need to be able to... Whoops. I have suddenly forgotten which button changes beams and which button changes visors. So I couldn't go this way until I had both of those power-ups. And, actually, had I been reading all of the scan data, I would have gotten some foreshadowing now because, there was scan data that talked about keeping a certain specimen in the quarantine cave. And the quarantine cave is where I am now heading. And clearly I'm wandering into a boss arena. I don't think that's a surprise. This is pretty much the most reviled boss in this game. People really hate it. It's tricky, it's troublesome, it does go on for too long, but... well, you'll see. So this is Thardus. Which, I gotta say, is really an awesome design. I love him. The giant ice rock golem. I don't know how he growls. It's pretty impressive that he can growl and roar because he's overcome the substantial handicap of not having lips. But, well, trying to get a good scan off of him. Okay, so Thardus, animated sentient creature of stone, charged with phazon radiation, because everything phazon. Oh, it may be possible to use a different visor to find his weak point. I wonder which visor that might be. I sure hope it's the visor I just picked up. So, one of Thardus' tricks is to curl up into a ball and roll around the arena. And suppose the game expects you to dodge it by rolling up into a ball and using the boost. But the animation to roll up into a ball and the charge up on the boost is such that it just cannot be done. You're going to take a hit immediately. Now, meanwhile, in order to actually defeat Thardus, if you use the thermal visor, you can find his weak point, which is one of his rocks is charged up with phazon radiation. You can't target it when he's in ball form. I'm really not good at getting out of the way of that ice attack. And then once you destroy that block, it overloads your thermal visor, but you've destroyed the shell on the phazon rock, so now you can target it normally. So the boss fight requires you to basically be switching back and forth between visors. But I'm actually going to show you a trick. So I'll go ahead and destroy this. So now I've gone ahead and destroyed the first bit. And now he gets pissed off. And grows a new weak point somewhere else in his body. And I have to go through the cycle again. However, there's actually a trick to this. Oh, also, so he does this attack where he throws rocks at you, and you can actually destroy the rocks in midair if you're quick enough, and they will drop pickups. So that you can kind of keep yourself charged that way. Granted, it's easier to do it with the wave beam. Anyway, curl up into a ball again. I want to show the good people the cheat. So his weak point, while it's hidden, is vulnerable to bombs. You'll notice that I dropped the bombs as he rolled over me and exposed his weak point without having to go through the rigmarole of the thermal visor. And then I can just launch a super missile into it and quickly and easily take him out. And then drop bombs under him again, exposing his next weak point without having to play with the thermal visor. Charge up my beam. Wait for a good opening. And whoop, try not to get frozen. Whoop, unfreeze. While you're in ball form, you do take less damage from him, so there is some advantage to being in ball form. But I still find it generally harder to avoid him than just... His arms are hard targets to hit, too. Because as his body moves around, they will block your shots. So you actually have to connect with that vulnerable rock. So you kind of wait until his animation gets into a spot where you have a nice clear shot at it, and then you let your shot go. And then we're going to curl up into a ball. Oh, wait. Oh, he's doing his blizzard attack now. So one of the things he does is... I forgot about that lightning thing. So one of the things he does is he fucks with visibility. You know, so once you've exposed his weak point, he ruins your thermal visor, so that you have to switch back to the normal visor. But gradually, as the fight goes on, he turns up the bloom, apparently. So that you just can't friggin' see him. And you have to stay closer and closer. But then it's harder to react to him when he telegraphs curling up into a ball. Oh wow, you can damage his weak point while he's rolling around. Check that out. Oh, yep, okay, I knew ball form was coming again. Part of the problem that a lot of people have with him is that they don't know the bomb trick. But even without it, you know, once you get the pattern down, it's tedious. And he's got a lot of weak points. Oh. He's not doing his ball attack yet. He's doing another thunderstorm and blizzard. See, the big problem is that you have to go through these steps just too many times. Like, at this point, I have proven my ability to kill him. He should be dead now. Whoops. Oh, my missiles are too low. I can't fire off super missiles, huh? Oh, wait, yes I can. Alright, come on. Give me a good shot here. Fine. There we go. And that is Thardus. Dithyrambos points out, Quarantine Cave, that doesn't sound ominous at all. And then Derubim says, Boss, patient 0, attack, cough on you. I also love that little bit, too, at the end, where just Just like insult to injury, one rock comes flying out and hits Samus in the head. Just, it's like him just yelling, "Oh yeah, well you're a big old bedwetting duty head," as he dies. And then for my trouble, I get the spider ball. And at this point, I'm gonna make my way back to the nearest save point, or the next save point, and I'm gonna call it a night there. But should take me a few minutes. So the spider ball allows you to interact with the magnetic rails, so that you can now stick on them. You can also drop bombs while on them, and the bombs will cause you to detach. Oh no, they won't. Yeah, they do. They do, but... Oh, see. So there's a button that you're holding to do this, and if you release the button, you'll fall. Which, one of the neat things, and one of the things the game will start taking advantage of later, is that you can catch yourself on magnetic rails. So, like right here, I can drop and then catch myself there, which is pretty neat. You can also jump up or bomb up to a magnetic rail, if you're not too close to it. There we go. And then you can bomb up to a rail overhead like that. So just different ways that you can navigate the magnetic rail system. And using the magnetic rails, I can now reach this high door and continue my explorations. The other thing is that once you have the spider ball, you can now add spider ball tracks to your logbook. Like everything else, they don't get added to your logbook if you scan them before you have the spider ball, or before you have the appropriate power-up. Same with the grapple points. Like, there's a grapple point here in this room that when I get the grapple beam again, I will be able to use it. Until then, I can scan the grapple point all I want, but it won't actually add it to my logbook. I have to scan it after I get the grappling beam. Or, yeah, after I get the grapple beam. So we're going to head out the other exit from this place. And continue on, because it's the next obvious way to go. Even though, like, you know, in standard Metroid fashion, you know, as soon as you get a power-up, the first thing you do is your mind goes back to all of the places that you've been previously, thinking, hey, was there a spider ball track I could use? Alright, I can't go in here yet. I need whatever beam opens the white door. Okay. So we're going to take the elevator down to Magmoor Caverns again. Yeah, Demystix is pointing out that the spider ball looks a lot like a yo-yo. Yes, it does. Okay, so now I'm in Magmoor Caverns, but I'm actually in a different section of Magmoor. In fact, I can't even see the rest of Magmoor. The rest of Magmoor was over here. But I'm now way over this way. Desperately trying to remember which way I actually want to go. Oh, I want to go to the save point. So at this save station, I'm going to go ahead and quit here and call it a night. I didn't talk much about D&D tips, but I did talk a lot about the game itself and the franchise, so I guess that's something. So I want to thank everybody for hanging out. O-Dog, Darabin, Mad Adventurer, Dithrambos, Demystix. A lot of you people have D names. What's up with that? You know, who else was here? I know there were a lot of people here tonight. Zero Quest was in here briefly. Sonic Gamer 3. Elf IRL, or Elfiril. I'm just going to call you Elf. Whatever. Thanks for hanging out. It's been a lot of fun, and I we'll be back next Friday or Saturday night. I'll find a night to do this again. Um, and I will talk to you all soon. Have a good night. Whoa. Right, can't point my thing away from the screen.